All right, and we are live. Derek, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. I'm doing well. I'm excited you finally got on the show, man. We've been talking about this for a little while.
Yeah, excited to be here. Surprised
Awesome.
I'm on a podcast, but I'm here.
We got you on, you old fogey.
Yeah, right.
So I would like to start off just by getting kind of a overview, a cursory glance at your career, kind of how you got to where you are now and what's kept you in Pensacola.
Sure.
And we can go from there.
Yeah, so I've been in the mortgage business about 21 years now. I started in Southern California, which is where I'm from. I got into the mortgage industry because of really, I was one of those people that graduated college and immediately got laid off in the first job. And
That's
I thought,
tough.
well, all right, so what do I do? You know, and so looking around, ended up getting a job at a company that's, lost, or was lost during the downturn, but got on with them. Actually, if I back up a little bit, I was going to be a realtor. Took the test, ready to go. And
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, I was naive, so I met with a broker. I thought, he was interviewing me. I was totally naive, and he said, "No, you need to understand. You're interviewing me to see if you want to come work for me."
Yeah.
And he asked me if I had, 3 to 6 months of savings in the bank. And I said, man, I'm right out of school. I don't have a dime.
Yeah.
And he said, you might want to switch to the finance side as opposed to real estate, because obviously it takes a bit to get going on real estate.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And I got into mortgages in my 20s and have been at it ever since.
Interesting. Now, as far as the savings, so when you start off in mortgages, you didn't have that dead space where there was no income.
It just depends what you go into.
Fair enough. Okay.
I went with a company at the time that offered a salary plus commission.
Gotcha.
And so for someone new, it was the ideal scenario, right? Because
Sure.
it takes off a little bit off the pressure there.
To
You can
cover
go
the
ahead
bills.
And, you can maintain it, but there was also
Some upward
the
mobility.
incentive is still there,
Right, yeah.
I mean, because
It's a good balance.
it's enough salary to say, okay, the lights are still on, but
Yeah.
you got to go out and get it. You got to
Yeah.
hustle. And so it was the right fit for me. It can be a crazy business at times,
Yeah.
right? But I've been at it. I'm in my 22nd year now.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah. But as far as moving to Pensacola, ended up working for a company that my now wife worked at in the call center. So we would chat on the phone. She had this, and I've told this story a million times, but sweet little Southern accent. And
I forgot you met her.
yeah, so
Fair
we
enough.
started talking on the phone a little bit, and it seemed to be working out. And so we ended up getting together. We got married here, lived in California, though, for the first year. She couldn't stand it, and so we moved back here. So I've been in Pensacola since '04,
Wow.
and so here to stay.
Yeah. I was just going to ask that next. Would you ever think about moving back to Cali?
I still like Cali. It's just so crowded.
Yeah.
That was the last
Yeah.
straw for me.
Yeah.
We tried to make a drive on a Sunday afternoon one day, about a 25-mile drive, and it took about 3 hours.
Ooh.
And
Nope. I'm out.
yeah, and that was it for me. I was like, this is ridiculous. It's
Yeah.
Sunday
Yeah.
afternoon, So we decided to come back this way. So I had to kind of restart, really. And I moved here.
Got to build up a new network.
Yeah, and so and the one thing that I learned here was I had to slow down. Spoke too quickly. Everything was moving in my head quicker than what was happening around here, including traffic. So so it was a interesting change to me, but
An
it's
adjustment.
I enjoy it. I mean, it's a slower pace.
Yeah.
I do like to go back to really any bigger city though for a little while.
Yeah.
And people think I'm crazy, but I like to drive in a big city
Okay.
because it makes you feel like you're driving.
Yeah. Fair
Makes
enough.
you feel alive.
Yeah, this gets kind of boring sometimes.
Yeah.
But so I still go back to the West Coast when I can. I'm still a Cali boy, but living in the South.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's interesting about the change of pace. I never even thought about that before, but I'm sure it was an adjustment moving out here.
It really is. People that are from here, a lot of them think it's too busy now, and they want to move out to the country.
Yeah.
And I get that, but for me, it was it's really slow. But but that's part of why you move out here, right? Because of the pace, and then great place for the kids. So my boys have enjoyed it here. I got 2 boys, and so they enjoy it out here. So yeah,
Good.
we're good.
Good.
Fantastic. I love that. So
good
what
reason.
company were you with when you first moved to Pensacola?
I was with Wells Fargo at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I started with Washington Mutual, and they shut down. I made a change to Wells just before they shut down, but they shut down during the downturn in the 07, 08 time.
Okay,
And,
right.
Yeah, during when half the companies went away. But
So you were in the industry during that whole time.
Oh yeah. I started the first mortgages I wrote were anywhere between 8 and 12% interest rate. So
Man, that is
yeah, right.
astronomical.
Yeah, and so it was an interesting time. And of course, you'd always talk to old timers then. They're like, "Yeah, well, I started when they were 18 to 20."
Yeah, I was just
So,
thinking.
Yeah,
after-
how it changes.
Yeah.
So I try not to sound like that with other loan officers here because
Yeah.
I don't want to come across as back in
Back
the
in
day.
my day.
Yeah,
yeah.
So, but
I respect that.
yeah. So, but yeah, I've been here about 16 years. I'm at Homebridge Financial Services right now, branch manager, and downtown Pensacola. Love it. The thing that separates it from anywhere else I've ever been is really the support. The products out there are, for the most part, everybody has similar products, and
Sure.
it's the support that makes the difference.
Yeah.
And so they've been terrific, and it's as good as it's been in the industry for me.
Good.
Now, support for you as the officer, or
Yeah, support for us, which translates to a smoother transaction if it can be
Absolutely.
one in this industry. But
yeah, if there can be
yeah,
one.
it translates to the consumer, but because there are people behind the scenes that make it all happen. I'm the name and the face of the company to everybody here.
Yeah.
But I'm not underwriting. I'm not processing.
Yeah,
Right.
And I'm not
there's a lot of
closing.
moving parts. I mean,
Right.
that's the same is true of every real estate transaction. There's so many
Yeah,
people coordinating and,
Yeah.
and making sure stuff gets done.
Yeah, you're the
So-
ringmaster of the transaction.
Yeah.
I'm the finance.
Yeah.
So that's why when and you and I met, and I've probably said this a million times, it's a partnership, really.
Yeah, it's
It
a
is.
collaboration. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
I mean, I forget who I was talking to recently, but we were talking about being a buyer's agent and dealing with a listing agent or vice versa, how it often feels adversarial, or they
Right.
feel like they're on, Selling Sunset or some Netflix show. And it's like, no, you're not. We're trying to help each other
Yeah, work
achieve a
together.
common goal.
Yeah.
And it's that way too. I'm sure you've had people get adversarial with you.
Sure. Yeah.
Especially realtors who want to know what's going on. And it's really just everybody working together to get the transaction done.
Yeah, it's. There's no incentive not to, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I'm just, that's the challenge. But there's a lot of good realtors in this
Yeah.
town. There's a lot of good lenders. So that was the thing that I noticed different here than in starting the business in California, specifically on the lender side. Very cutthroat. I would imagine most cities, big cities, are like that.
Yeah.
a
A lot of competition.
Yeah, and I think the belief was, listen, there's 15 million people in this county.
Yeah.
I can treat you however I want to treat you.
Yeah.
Because there's another guy right next door, or, whatever the case may be. But so it was a eye-opening experience, but a good one, because it took me a minute to kind of get my feet set and realize, okay, here's where I'm at. And so, but it's very much more relationship driven here.
Yes.
Because it's, again, there's just a smaller field,
Yeah.
a smaller town. And even as technology like this improves or increases, it's still going to be a relationship business.
Yeah. Well, it's harder you can't just be a negative kind of person and not have people. Pensacola is a small town, and people will talk, and the chances of you doing another deal down the road with that person are very high. So even though you may want to say something to somebody, you gotta control yourself.
Yeah.
It's crazy though, because when I first got licensed, I think there was 3,500 realtors in Escambia County, and I thought, man, there's no way there's 3,000 realtors here.
Right.
But I heard something the other day. I think I don't remember. It's not Pittsburgh. It was some town smaller than that, but there's 15,000 realtors in that county, and I just thought that is insane, absolutely crazy. But when you look at the numbers of Pensacola versus out there, I feel like Pensacola is not a big city, but there's a lot. It's a hustle and bustle. There's a lot going on, but they're not nearly as much as other places.
It's changed dramatically since I moved here. When I first drove downtown in 2004, it was depressing. And I was like, I looked around and I thought, man, there's some old time character to this town, similar to like a small version of New Orleans. And I couldn't understand it. I was like, why is this not, moving? I mean, this is kind of cool.
Yeah. I'm going to make an Instagram post of your face and then just put next to it the caption, when I first drove downtown, it was depressing. Okay. And I'll post that. That's the quote. That's the takeaway from the show.
I mean, it really was. I mean, you could drive up and down Palafox and,
not have any,
run every stop sign and you wouldn't hit anybody. It was crazy.
Wow. But, well, it's busy now.
Yeah, it's changed dramatically for the better. Yeah. I mean, they tried to do it, during the, post Ivan before the fall, right? They were trying to kind of build up downtown like they're doing now with the high-end condos and all that. Yeah. They weren't ready for it. The jobs weren't there. They were, in fact, I was at an event where the mayor at the time was talking about his finance guy was talking about it. And I said to the finance guy, I said, man, this isn't Field of Dreams, dude. Build it and they will come. You got to get the jobs first. I said, you can't build a $600,000 condo and
just expect people are going to show up.
Yeah, it's just not there yet, but it's coming, and
improving.
I mean, downtown is kind of what I always hoped it would be.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, really, for people who are first coming to the area, for me when I first came, Palafox it's awesome. That's where the hub is. You know, you can just start on one end next to Vinyl and walk all the way down to the pier, and it's just enjoyable. There's a lot going on. Yeah. So your office downtown, you're still at the Annex, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
I'm at the Annex. So I love it there because, I mean, it is right there in the heart of everything.
Yeah.
There's coffee shops, there's restaurants, bars, cigars, whatever you want to do. I mean, it's all right there.
Yeah.
And they've done better with parking downtown. So there's really not an issue there. And, in our environment, my first fear, or my only fear really was, can you meet clients down here? Because depending on the age of the client, if it's a younger person, they're cool with it. They like it. If it's an older person, a senior, they want that face to face.
Yeah.
And they're, are they going to be okay with this? Well, it really hasn't been an issue. We've been in that building almost 2 years now, and I've had only 2 or 3 clients that wanted to meet face to face.
Wow.
Even
very good.
Even the seniors are good now with email
more
and so on.
Computer literate.
Yeah.
So where do you meet, if they do want to meet in person, where do you meet them? So for the Annex, I don't think have you been up there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's awesome.
Times.
It's such a cool co-work space. I had a buddy show me through and I thought, man, I want to work here. It's like a gym for entrepreneurs, really, for business people.
Yeah. It's, and it's changed.
Nice.
They've added seating in what I call the bullpen area, but out in the center, they've moved chairs around. So they've got seeing if you haven't been in a little bit, but
I haven't been in probably a couple months.
Yeah, so it's a great location because again, I mean, you're not meeting clients anymore. I mean, just like real estate agents, you're going out to meet them. People ask me where my office is. It's my truck.
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty much.
I got a laptop. I'll go with my phone. I can get everything on my phone now. So
exactly.
I mean, I can take an application on the phone. So
that's, I mean, and it's nice. It's really nice to be able
convenient.
to be able to do that from wherever you need to.
Yeah.
If I'm driving, I'll just pull over and do something. I can write a contract in 15 minutes from my laptop. There's no need for a physical office location really anymore. Yeah. Where did you meet clients if they would want to come and meet in person? Did you meet them in one of the conference rooms or what?
Yeah, in conference rooms.
Okay.
If they wanted to come just to downtown, I'll meet them at one of the coffee shops. I've met them at for lunch, whatever they want to do.
Sure. Yeah, that's the nice way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I've signed documents in McDonald's parking lot, in Dixie, you name it.
Fair enough. Gets the job done.
I had a client that's an older gentleman, but he worked at one of the plants down Highway 29, and I would laugh. I'd need something. He's like, same place, Winn-Dixie 29. Yeah, let's
like you're doing a drug drop
off.
That's
right. Back of the parking lot kind of thing. And
man.
He would sign things. And when we closed, he said, man, he goes, you're awesome. Because
for meeting him.
Because it would be 6:00 in the evening. And he was like, man, I got to get to Pace. And I don't want to drive to downtown Pensacola.
Yeah, understandable.
I
mean, this really is an industry for people who have a flexible schedule like that. Yeah. I was trying to show a house this morning, and I texted the agent last night around 8:39ish. So normally, if it gets too late, I won't bother him. Actually, scratch that. I will bother him, but I won't call him. But I texted her last night, no response. 7:00 this morning, 7:30, 8 rolls around. Texted her a couple more times, called her. Speaking of calls.
Yeah, right. At least it's on vibrate.
You're fine. No worries. We're all busy. I called her this morning around 7:45, and then at 8:15 again. I was like, because I had a schedule that I needed to show. I wanted to show the house at 9 o'clock. No answer. No text back. Nothing. I called her, and it went straight to voicemail, like her phone was off. And I was like, how are you?
It's kind of hard to work with that.
Yeah. How are you? No offense, but how are you making it when people can't get a hold of you? You know? I'm trying to sell your house for you.
No, there's plenty of that. And the ironic thing for our end is, when I meet with agents, I say, what's the number one thing you want from a loan officer? And it's always communication.
Yep.
It goes both ways.
Yeah,
and I don't want to come across as adversarial, but I mean, it really is. I'm good with that. If the request is communication, then I'm going to give you as much as you want, if not more.
Yeah.
But we also want to know on our end. You know, so if there's a change, let me know.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of problems in the transaction that arise are from lack of communication. You know, you get late in the transaction. It's like, oh, well, we didn't realize this was going on, or something of that nature. And a lot of problems can be solved by just keeping on top of things.
Yeah. I do like a lot of times that, either an assistant or coordinator, as they call them, transaction coordinator. Yeah, that can be a positive. Because they keep on top of that. I mean, if you're dealing with a busy agent and they have that, if they're good at what they do, it can be a real positive. I still deal directly with the agent a lot of times because that's the relationship. But it does help as far as
just if you need a document or something basic, if you need an answer on something.
And usually it's, if I were to pinpoint, one of the things that gets missed, it's the survey. Forgot to order a survey, and that's not something that gets changed in a matter of days.
Overnight,
it's, what are they taking now, 2 to 3 weeks? Or
Yeah, everybody is booked up right now.
Yep.
Probably 3 to 4, to be honest.
There you go.
More closer to. I have a couple people who'll get it done in a tighter time frame, but you got to do it pretty close to the beginning of the transaction.
Request it.
Yeah,
you gotta,
exactly.
You got to pay a little higher.
We had a contract that fell out last week. And the seller texted me yesterday a picture. Her neighbor had taken a picture. The survey company went out and did the survey. And I thought, well, that's the buyer's agent's mistake, and that's a mistake you only make one time.
That's right.
Because he's stuck paying for it. The buyer's not going to pay for it.
No, that's right.
I just thought that was interesting. I thought, man, he forgot to cancel it. It's easy to forget. But,
that's tough.
Surveys get missed a lot. I mean, and it's just really – so actually I was going to ask you, how is it – do you enjoy, as long as the TC or the transaction coordinator is good at their job, do you care either way? Would you rather deal with the agent or is it kind of doesn't matter?
So the way
the dynamic changes.
Yeah, it just depends. I mean, we try to, my assistant Avery, she sets up the file and she starts communication every Wednesday is our design. So she communicates. And so a lot of the times the transaction coordinator wants to indicate to us, hey, you need to go through me. And so I said, no problem, and I'll introduce Avery. And I kind of laughed because from that moment on, they never respond to Avery. And I started laughing.
Really?
I'm like, no, that's cool, but
we'll do it for you if you'll do it for us.
So sometimes I'll send and say, hey, reply all if you don't mind. But so Avery and I kind of laugh about that. But no, it's fine. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, like I said, if the coordinator is on it, that's great, because they can be a very valuable piece to the puzzle at times. Because if an agent's really busy, there are plenty of agents in town where I'll get back to you within 24 hours. That's what it says on their voicemail. We don't have 24 hours for some of these issues. We want to get something resolved quickly. And I know I can't put that on my voicemail. Imagine you trying to call me and say, I'll get back to you in 24 hours.
There's no way.
It's not acceptable.
And that's one thing that I appreciate about you is when I call, typically, even if there's nothing, no updates or anything, you'll answer and say, hey, I got nothing for you still. But that's that way for buyers and sellers too. They want to call and hear a voice at the other end, telling them what's going on. Even if there's no real news, you got to be able to be reached.
Absolutely. And that's, and to me, that's why it's valuable for the coordinator to be able to speak with my assistant, because if I'm out doing something and you're out doing something, they can communicate, right?
Yeah.
And they can get the answers.
Stuff is still getting done.
Right. Yeah. It's still, the file is still moving forward. And that's, that goes back to what I was talking about with support. It's vital to have support and, good support, competent. That's really what it is. So, but yeah, it's, and especially in this time, because it's extremely busy. everybody is a bit on edge. And so we all have to take a moment to kind of take a breath, right? Calm down.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because, I mean, it was certainly COVID. I don't know that anybody expected the reaction to that.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
I don't know.
I can tell you from a finance standpoint, every company that I know of has been trying to staff up from the moment the rates dropped because of the virus.
Yeah.
And so it's been a challenge. So you just play that out. Appraisers are busier. Surveyors are busier. Real estate title companies.
Yep.
Everybody's busy. And then when you threw in Hurricane Sally,
just came a madhouse.
just
everything
perfect
up.
storm. And so our job really is to kind of set expectations. So, you know, ideally a realtor will call me, hey, thanks for pre-approving so-and-so. What are we thinking on turn times for a contract?
Yeah, and that's a good question to ask up front.
Yeah, and so if we have it up front, and we can set the expectation, right? You know, because, I mean, you know, what's the old saying? Under promise, over deliver, or however it comes out. But you know, that's the goal of every loan officer. I mean, we all want to accomplish that. But our job is to set that expectation up front, and so that's what we try to do, so that everybody is just in a good even space kind of deal.
Yeah.
So. You know, and then from that point, you just kind of move forward with the file. But you know, I enjoy working with realtors that communicate like you and I do.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a question, you call me, and vice versa. There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. And so, you know, that's kind of how I am right now in my career. Is really, not everybody works with everybody. We don't all get along.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Personalities work with certain personalities. And
that's right.
That's kind of the way I approach it. My job on every transaction is to communicate to both realtors and the title company, and you can get a feel for the other side on the real estate to see if this is a good fit. You know, I want to kind of continue to have this conversation, and maybe, you know, I want to impress them either way. But I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that
you're going to do every deal with them in the future,
right?
Yeah.
And so it's, and I don't know if that just comes with experience. I think part of it is.
I think so.
You know, when I was younger, every deal was life and death. I got to get it done. I need to get this. You know, that's a new referral source, and so on. And so there's still a little bit of that, but there's enough experience to know that, hey, you know, that's
pick the people that you collaborate well with,
right,
and just do that. I think, and that's something that in any commission job, any sales job, you have to. That's a learning curve. You know, you start off desperate for everything that you can get, and then you reach a point more where you're like, well, these are my standards. This is what I'm going to do. And, you know, these are the people that I work well with. These are the people that work well with me. And, you know, they're the ones who, you know, you just mesh well together, and those are the clients that you should stick with.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's I think ideal. And it was interesting when I first started here, the people that I meshed well with were not originally from here.
Really?
So I realized that there was a moment I was putting together my yearly plan, right? You know, I was just going over my last year's numbers and try to plan for the next year, and I was just looking at that. I'm like, okay, I'm putting down my referral sources. I'm like, well, he's from there, she's from there. I'm like,
nobody's local.
I got down the list. I'm like, I need to find some Pensacola realtors. You know? So it was like, and that was pretty quick in my career here because, and I realized I was talking to my manager at the time. I said, what do you think causes that? He goes, well, you speak pretty quickly, and people think you're no other way to say it, they think I'm a Yankee. And I said, well, we weren't even in that fight. I was from the West Coast. I mean, that had nothing to do with me. But so I just had to.
I've never once thought anything about that at all. Ever thought?
Well, for some people, I guess it still is a factor.
I suppose.
Yeah,
because this was a different time back then.
Yeah, this was
that as well.
04 to 06. Yeah, so it was different. But but that'll give you an idea how quickly it's changed. I mean, just in that short a time frame, it is. I haven't had that in years, but so it was a matter of I had to revisit. Okay, slow it down and make sense. Okay, am I really involved in the community?
Sure.
Am I part of Pensacola, or am I still in my mind thinking I'm still in?
That's
Southern
a good
California?
conversation to have with yourself.
Wow. Yeah. And so it took me a minute to realize that, and so that's when I kind of realized I'm like, all right, married, got kids coming. I had one I think at the time, and we're here, got a house. I'm like, this place isn't so bad.
Yeah, not at all.
And so from that point on, I made a lot more contacts with folks that are from here.
Yeah,
Very
I'll bet.
Yeah.
I've kind of gone the opposite way and just adopted Pensacola. This is my home.
Yeah.
I love it here.
Yeah.
It's my favorite place that I've ever lived, and I've only lived 3 or 4 other areas. Right. But it just, as soon as I got down here, I was like, I'm a Pensacola boy. This is perfect for me. And we're trying to do the same thing for him. So
yeah, it's good down here, man. It's
I'm already loving it. Even in spite of Hurricane Sally.
3 mile bridge is down. We can't. It takes us an hour to go to the beach.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we had gone to the beach in the first 3 or 4 weeks that you were here, 2, maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
Not much at all.
It's funny, when I first moved here, I was in Perdido, and so I would go to the beach all the time.
Yeah.
And now we're in Cantonment, and very rarely go to the beach.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Well, it's a nice weekend trip. You've probably had that first 4 or 5 years where you just went all the time, and it kind of wears off on you.
Yeah, you get used to whatever amenities are around the places you live.
The thing that started to change it for me was, going to the beach growing up, it was just me, a board, and a towel. Now it's pack up the car. And,
with the family, it's a little different.
Get a tent and all this stuff. And I'm like, this is more work than it's worth. So we put a pool in the backyard.
There you go. There you go.
You got your own little slice of water.
Yeah. I just got an overhang, a little cooler sitting there. It's all set up.
That's not bad at all. I wouldn't mind that. And going to the beach. The beach is still novel to me.
Yeah.
I still love making trips out there. It's enjoyable. And our sister just started working at Crabs in the gift shop. So it's a good excuse to go out there to go see her at work and then go to the beach.
So hopefully they'll be able to have Mardi Gras and she'll experience that.
That'll be fun. Yeah.
The
only Mardi Gras thing that I've ever done is the parade last year. Mm-hmm. And it's cool. It's fun. You see all the beads and everything and all the trees weeks after.
Yeah, I've been in a crew for a while. I just actually got out of it, but it's interesting to see it from the other side.
Really?
It's
like what?
Yeah, well, just the things. How grown-ups will act for beads. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me. I'm like,
it's like a parade where kids are fighting for candy when they throw
a slice of immaturity that comes out.
Yeah, it's funny.
I think everyone's immature.
I mean,
at
some point. There's a little alcohol involved, but on both ends. But I mean, you get to certain parts like over by World of Beers and all that stuff, and it's just it's 10 to 12 people deep.
Wow.
And I mean, they're just pushing and shoving. Grown men for 50-cent beads, and you're like, what are you doing? So
it's not about the cost. It's about the day.
Yeah, exactly. They get caught up in it, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, but the beach parade is interesting if you ever go out there.
I would love to.
Yeah. I don't know if they're going to do it this year or not. The virus, but,
COVID's changed a lot for this year at least.
Yeah. Now, having said that, how did things change for you? I know you got busier once rates dropped.
Yeah.
And I know for me personally, I got busier. And I don't know why that is. I just had people coming out of the woodwork, ready to buy. I think it was because of the rates, really.
Yeah.
So how did things change for you once the shutdown happened? How has your business changed?
Yeah. So, I mean, the first thing that changed, obviously, is everybody started working from home full time. I did that on occasion, but my assistant was always in the office. Underwriters, processors, everybody was always in the office. It wasn't an industry that necessarily wholeheartedly believed in working from home.
Yeah.
They've come to realize that you can work from home because production is ramped up dramatically, and there's still everybody's getting it done. They don't have time to be at home and messing around like all the bosses fear you will do, right? You can't have ESPN on all day and so on. But as far as business, it ramped up dramatically. Like it felt like overnight. It didn't necessarily do that. It just felt that way because. I don't know that anybody really expected a refi boom that we had.
Yeah.
I mean, refis were there. There were people still coming in, but overnight it felt like the refis just
everybody started refinancing.
Yeah, every past client. We didn't even have to reach out to them; they were calling us. And then on top of that, purchases picked up. Which was interesting because, all you were hearing about is people unemployed.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's what I was worried about. I was like, man, this is going to slow down, dramatically for me.
I went 3 or 4 months into the virus before I had anybody have any effect income-wise from that. And luckily, it was like a 25% pay cut because the team that she worked for, they all agreed to take a 25% pay cut so everybody would continue to work.
Yeah.
Which
that's a really good thing to do.
Yeah,
that's
really
awesome.
smart. And kudos to that company for making that arrangement because they were a small company. They didn't want to lay anybody off. So it was awesome. But as far as, it took I'll be quite honest, it took a minute for everybody to take a step back and go, whoa, we got to get more people in the operations side to handle the volume that's coming in.
Yeah.
And that goes back to setting that expectation. So I don't want to, tell you, hey, I can close your refinance in 30 days.
Yeah.
Because it's just not a reality.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the purchase loans still take precedent because it's a contract. Somebody's got a moving van ready to go. We got to get them in. So,
so much more pressure.
So it was a challenge. And that goes back to working with realtors and referral partners that I get along with, because I can say to you, hey, let's get a 45-day contract on this so that we don't, set us up for failure.
Yeah.
And I would way rather have somebody tell me up front, hey, this is going to take 45 days.
Yeah.
Plan for 45 days. Then somebody say, well, let me try for 30 days. I mean, try regardless. But if we're planning for the sellers to move out and the buyers to move in at 30 days, then every day after that, it becomes, man, this is dragging out.
Because the minute the contract's signed, everybody starts the process of
100%
hiring movers, hiring the cable guy, whatever the case may be. I mean, there's so many moving parts to it. So, that was an interesting dynamic, because I personally didn't expect it to go the way that it did. So from a business standpoint, I was kind of surprised. I mean, it's been a good year financially for everybody in this industry, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But, and with the rates staying low, eventually, the supply and demand issue came in, certainly in our market, and from what I understand nationally. But so it got to the point where we were taking applications for buyers, and, in a normal market, we always want to continue to talk to them every week. So how's the search going? Give me an update, let me know. And we didn't have to do that, because we would get calls, say, hey, I need a pre-approval sent for this amount. And as you know, I mean, it was because there were 5 to 6, 7 offers on these houses. So these poor buyers were getting frustrated because, they were. So the joke on our side is, hey, what have you been doing all day? Practicing taking applications, because, and it's a joke, but I mean, you could take 1 million applications. That doesn't mean that people are going to buy, because it's not that they don't want to. They just,
can't get anything wrapped up.
Yeah. And so,
and it's that way even in higher dollar amounts now. So for a while it was that way between like 150 and below,
right,
for anybody FHA buyers, and then 175. And now I have a buyer I'm working with. She's approved up to 250, and I've not had. We submitted our third offer, and I'm actually at 6:30. I'm going to call the agent and ask for an update. This third one is our third multiple offer scenario, and then all the others that she'll send me every day, a list of 2 or 3. And at least one of them is already under contract the day of. It's absolutely
most of them
bonkers.
have been on the market for hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I used to get calls from realtors say, "Hey, man, I'm about to put this on the market. If you got any buyers," I haven't had that call in a long time. Because the minute it goes on, if it's priced right and it's a move-in ready home, half the time, if it's not a move-in ready home, I mean, we're getting calls. So it's a challenging time. I mean, and of course, everybody, like we talked about, just gets that much busier. So the appraisers, I've said this a lot lately. If anybody is, early 20s or even 30s and trying to decide what do I want to do with my life, be an appraiser. It's a terrific job. It's a lot. I don't know how much it's changed recently, but it wasn't long ago I had an appraiser tell me the average appraiser was like 59 years old. So it's a terrific job. I took the appraisal class years ago when I was still in Southern California. I had just had time in the summer, so I took a course.
Well, that's good to do. Just increase your knowledge.
Yeah. Well, that's the way I looked at it. I said, well, I look at appraisals every day. I want to be able to look at it like an underwriter and say, okay, here's what it really reads, other than value, and does it require repairs.
Yeah.
So it was valuable to me, but it was interesting to get that insight. But so that's a little tidbit out there if anybody knows.
Yeah, becoming an appraiser.
Yeah, it's
right. Yeah,
I mean,
interesting.
A lot of people don't know what they want to do in their 20s, still trying to figure it out.
100%. Yeah, and they're looking. I think that's one thing about just completely unrelated, but college. I mean, it just opens up your eyes as to what else is out there, because there's things I would never have even thought about. And telling anybody to become an appraiser.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's something that, if you're young and driven, you can be successful in.
Sure. Yeah. You don't need a college degree to be it. I mean, you apprentice basically with an existing appraiser. And again, if they're up there, close to retirement, they probably want to do it because you know you're not going to be their competition later on.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought of that, but that's just
hey, that's cool.
Maybe because there's not enough out there, but
fair enough.
So,
I know appraisers are just as busy as survey companies right now.
Yeah, another way to go. But yeah, so but business because of the virus and the economy, it's just been an unexpected year for a number of reasons. But I was
worried at first that things were going to slow down, and I wasn't going to, I had my little nest egg set aside for several months, if I needed to, and then it just never slowed down.
Which is appropriate, right? I mean, that's the one thing that's good for you to learn that so early on, because there are plenty of agents that didn't learn it after the downturn, and loan officers, and then I see and hear some of those same people making the same mistakes, because at some point there is a downturn. It can only go so high, because the average family in Pensacola can only afford so much house, and that's just a reality. So if it continues to go at that at a good pace, we're fine. But if it skyrockets, then we'll have a challenge at some point. But, prepare for that. But there's no real indication that interest rates are going to go up. A lot of people always look for the election, if it's an election year,
right,
and think Republican means lower rates, Democrat means higher. That's not a political stance, by the way. That's just a historical thing. But that's not necessarily the case in this instance, because the other challenge that they're talking about is if it's a Democratic win, they will go ahead with the next stimulus package, and how the Fed and so on reacts to that would drive interest rates down. So
it's crazy.
So
there's even busier from here on out.
Right, exactly. So throw historical facts out the window. We don't have any. This is uncharted territory. And considering where the rates are now, if someone were to tell me, 20 years ago that they're going to be where they're at now and then even go lower,
possibly going lower,
you're crazy.
So that is insane. Well, that's interesting information. I hear a lot of different aspects, and and a lot from social media as well. Everybody has an opinion. But it's interesting to hear, your point of view on that. Okay, I have two more questions. First of all, I want to hear, so if you had to start over again in the mortgage industry or in lending, what advice would you have maybe given to, would you give to a younger person now doing the same thing? And if you had to start over, what would you do the same? What would you change? What do you think you got right? What do you think you did wrong?
So, I'll be honest, when I started managing, I thought, do I want to hire anybody brand new in the business? Is this the right fit for someone in this environment? And I've learned that it is. First off, I've had a few younger loan officers that have done terrific. The thing that is going to be common in this industry, in any sales industry, is still the same. You got to get out and meet people. Rule number one, you've got to be willing to work and hustle and get out, meet face to face. Social media and everything will do so much, but you've got to get
talking to people.
You got to talk to people. And so that's the thing that I always want to emphasize to the younger generation. And at the same time, though, I've learned from them, hesitantly, I'll admit it, but so it's been a good thing in that sense, because the reality is there's no one way to do this.
Fair enough.
There are old school ways, and they still apply. But there are new ways that are just as valuable. So I think the mix is where it's at, right? So a little social media, get out, meet people, because you still need to be comfortable around people.
100%.
If you're a social media person, but then you get front center with somebody,
you're awkward
and you can't speak to somebody. But the key to being a loan officer, in my opinion, is listening, and just kind of allowing whomever you're speaking to tell you their story, tell you what they want to do, and then respond to it. When I meet with younger loan officers, there's that tendency, and it's probably nerves, to just, we used to call it product dump. Oh, I can do this, relax, take a breath.
I don't need all that. I need one thing.
Right. You have whatever your need is, it's my job to figure that out. So you're going to tell me what it is.
That's good sales advice, just in general. Listen.
It's the old talk show advice. talk show's not about you. It's about your guest, right? So
yeah. Are you trying to say something?
Yeah. No. No, but I didn't want to age myself, because I learned that a manager years ago told me about Johnny Carson, and I said, okay, well, that doesn't apply anymore. So let's talk about Kimmel or Balance and whatever.
Yeah, some new.
But it still applies. I mean, I want to know what you want to do, and then I can cater my response to according to you in what you said. So, but that's what I would tell a young loan officer. Go out and get it, continue that, and really kind of schedule your day. Like you and I were talking about it earlier. Put your plan together every morning. Be accountable to that plan. I've tried that in the past, where you have accountability partners.
Yeah. That's what Danny is for me.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
If I don't do my job, hold me to it.
It's good advice.
Sometimes a little competition is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Friendly competition. Yep.
Yeah. And, maybe a friendly wager, milkshake here or there, whatever the case may be. But
yeah, that's what my family has done for a long time. Actually, we used to have Dairy Queen a mile and a half from our house.
Yeah.
And whenever we would disagree over something, or we'd say, "I'll bet you a Blizzard," and whoever lost would have to go buy the other a Blizzard,
there you go.
A shake or whatever.
An actual milkshake.
Yeah.
There you go. I had a professor in college used to call them milkshakes. We're like, yeah, we used to see you at the bar. I know what you're talking about. But,
okay. Yeah.
But yeah, no. And so all of that is good. That's it's a fun job. It's the ability to. I mean, I go pick up my kids at school all the time. I go to all my kids' sporting events.
That's a great place to be.
I love it. I mean, my dad did that growing up, and so it was always a goal of mine. I'm going to be present for my kids.
It's a great goal.
So, so this industry affords me that.
Yeah.
And again, I go back to the realtors. Plenty of times I'll be in a sales meeting, and I'll sit there and tell them, hey, listen, I'm available all the time. If I don't answer your call right away, if it's not a client, if it's on the weekend, it's probably because I'm at a basketball game.
Yeah,
and I'm either coaching it or screaming from the stands, one of the two. So, so just give me a minute, I'll call you back, and so on. But so that's kind of it. But I'll tell you, the biggest challenge right now for new loan officers and maybe for agents as well is really making sure that you're minding yourself and taking care of yourself in this crazy busy time right now. So because it's kind of hectic, it's stressful, and so on. So it's hey, go at a fast pace, work hard, take a breath every now and then, because you got to make sure you're still present for the family, friends, whatever it is that you're doing. So it can be a bit stressful.
Yeah, it can creep into every other area of your life if you're not careful.
Right, and they think it's how it always is, and it's not. But at the moment, it is.
Yeah,
and
so you handle it at the moment, and it'll get better.
Yeah, yeah. So it's something that I and so I've totally flipped from the point of I didn't necessarily want to deal with a new loan officer, honestly, to the point where I enjoy it now, because I've been at it long enough. I've gone through enough to let them know, hey, listen, I'm going to help you out with this. It's still your job to go out and kind of figure it out for yourself. Just like if you have kids and they're teenagers, you got to let them do their thing. But
learn.
But so you just give them some advice on that and kind of help them along the way.
That's
and you can train them the way you want the job done as well. That's something
absolutely.
with Mark.
Yep.
He told me in the very beginning.
Yeah.
He likes, for a long time he liked new agency. He doesn't like to train them anymore, but for a long time he liked picking new agents and training them how he wanted the job done.
Right.
So it's valuable. I love that. That's good advice.
Yeah.
So last thing, what do you like to do in your free time? So when you're not practicing loan applications.
Right. So the you mentioned surfing off the air, but that was the goal. It hasn't really played out as much as it needs to be. I'm trying to get back into it. I did it growing up, but so we'll see if that ever happens. I still love going to the beach, right? Even if it's a bad day at the beach, it's still a great day,
it's a day
right?
at the beach.
So I enjoy that. The family goes camping. We got a trailer that we take out. And
I love that.
We try to do that. But
where do you go camping?
We've been locally mainly. One of the nicer places is Gulf State Park. Over in Alabama. I always thought it was odd because I'm like, we're not that far from home. It's not really camping.
Yeah.
Right?
You're not roughing it.
I've come to realize, I grew up camping in Sequoia and Yosemite, so it's a little different. But this is camping locally. So, but it's cool. I mean, we enjoy it. We've
got a good experience.
Yeah, the family loves it. We have some friends that have a trailer as well, so we kind of, all go out together and have a good time. And You can still go to the beach, which is odd to me, but so that's fun.
Yeah.
And then it's right now it's all about basketball. I've got 2 kids that play it.
Okay.
And so
now, how old are your sons again?
15 and 12.
15 and 12.
So I got a freshman at Tate and a 7th grader at Ransom.
Very nice.
Yeah. So it's
those are fun basketball games to watch.
Yeah.
I'll bet they are.
It's interesting. And they're actually going to play. So with the virus, so they've shifted middle school. Basketball should have already been halfway done at this point. So they've moved it to spring. They've got track going on now, which so we're doing that, and then high school basketball will start up in November. But, so
that's good. Yeah, a lot of people have been pushing it to the spring, so I'm glad that they're starting at least.
Yeah, they let football be the guinea pigs, and because it's the South, everything's about football.
Yeah,
so,
well, they're the meatheads,
It
is what it is.
So they're doing that now, and then basketball. But we play year-round basketball, and so weekends a lot of times are traveling from here or there to tournaments and so on. But
that's great.
And it's one of those things where when you talk to people that their kids are all grown up, they're like, enjoy these days. You're going to miss them.
Yeah.
Because when you're in the middle of it, you're like, oh, man, I got to drive so much.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
You got to look back and miss it. Yeah.
But I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to complain.
Good for you.
The boys are loving it, and so in that case, I love it. So let's just do it. So
that's good for just in general. Just enjoy where you are.
Yeah.
We talked about that even all through high school. You know, it's everybody's looking forward to 13 years old or 16 years old or 18 or 21. There's always something to look forward to.
Right.
And it's like, man, just have a good time where you're at. Yep. Everything else will come.
Yeah, plan for the future, but enjoy the present.
Correct.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's good. Probably a Hallmark card or something like that. No, but
that's practice that on the way here.
This is
my final piece of
advice.
advice.
Popped out of my head. I don't know where it came from, but if you ever want worthless knowledge, that's me. But it doesn't do me any good. So
that's funny.
Yeah, but yeah, that's me right now. I mean, happy wife, happy life kind of thing. But it's really basketball. Driver's training for the oldest, and that's kind of it.
Well, Derek, that was exciting to hear about you and the business and your personal life, and I'm really, again, just thankful that you were willing to jump on this. I know it's not anything you've done before, but I hope you had a good time.
I enjoyed it. I really, honestly, I didn't know what to expect. Wasn't nervous or excited, just kind of was like, well, let's see what this is all about. But it was fun, interesting.
Good experience.
Well, good. I'm glad. We'll have to have you on again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. Be happy to.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Derek.
All right, thanks.